Hey folks, in this video we're going to be looking at the density of aluminum lab and just talking about some, I don't know, common questions and stuff. So blah, 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 all this data you should have collected. In particular, you're going to be wanting to look at your masses of the object and the volumes of the object. Hence those columns are bolded. What? Oh my gosh. So you're going to want to do some data analysis and you're going to make a graph. And you're going to make a graph specifically so that the slope of the graph is equal to density. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, density, again, we're going to be getting from our mass and our volume of these objects. And you should know what the formula for density is from answering one of these pre-lab questions here. What is density and what two physical properties? Oh, you need the equation for density. So you're going to want to use your equation for density to help you with this. And you're going to need to arrange those masses and volumes on the x and y axes so that the slope is going to be equal to density. And to that, know that you're going to need the formula for density and also need to know that our slope is going to be equal to the change in y over the change in x, or easily thought of as rise over run. So if rise over run equals slope and slope equals density, use your knowledge of the formula for density to figure out what units to put on the y-axis and what units to put on the x-axis. And then follow through these sweet instructions for how to do that. So after you've made a graph, it should display the equation for that graph, and you have the slope of the line in that equation, and we just said the slope of the line will be equal to density if you arrange your axes correctly. So bam, that answers this question. And then bam, make another graph, bam, solve for density. All right, let's look at this dude right down here. Percent error. This is a way of figuring out how good our numbers that we came up with in our experiment are. Whenever we do experiments, we're going to get experimental values. And there will pretty much, unless we're doing some brand new or novel research, there will be an accepted value out there. People have often done research before. There's a lot of people who've done research on aluminum, and there's a pretty good accepted value for the density of aluminum out there. If you talk to scientists and you talk to books, I don't know why you would talk to a book. You could read a book, and it would say that the density of aluminum is approximately 2.70 grams per centimeter cubed. Fun fact, a cubic centimeter is the same thing as a milliliter. That's pretty wild. Anyway, you're going to have two different experimental values, one from each graph, and with each of those, you're going to compare them to this accepted value using this equation down here. And please note those absolute value bars. We're never going to have a negative percent error. Cool beans. So yeah, follow this link, talk about indirect versus direct proportions. That's not too spicy. Rewrite your equation for the line. For each graph. So before, we should have an equation that's like y equals blah, blah, blah. Well, what's on your y-axis? I don't know. Whatever that is. Instead of writing y, plug in whatever you have on your y-axis. And then you have your slope of the line. And you have whatever, I don't know, is on your x-axis. I don't want to give away stuff too much here. So cool, you want to compare your densities from the graphs to the average densities you calculated for each procedure. Those are in your tables where you have the average density line. So you want to look at your graph, for instance, for method 2, and compare the slope that you get from your graph to the slope from your average density. If they're different, why do you think they're different? And which was more accurate? So, anywho, this guy down here, we've got a cool graph, and you're just going to do a little bit of analysis on this bad boy. And yeah, that's the density of aluminum lab. Not too spicy. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to get at me, and I will happily respond. Anyway, yeah, density of aluminum lab. Hope you feel good about it. Ta-ta. Have a great rest of your life.